Namaste. Today we're going to focus on the spinal twists. And it sounds painful, right? But regularly our spine does not get through its whole range of motion that's available to it. So here's a short sequence that can help you get your spine through its range of motion. Very helpful if you have to sit all day or your spine is very stiff. A word of caution, you don't want to do the twists too deeply or too intensively when you're just starting. Just go 20%. The next week you will be able to go 30 or 40, and it's going to come with practice. So let's get right into it. I'm going to start by sitting in the staff pose with my spine erect, my sitting bones touching the ground. I'm going to take a breath here. And then I'm going to bend my right leg, get it over my left knee. And then I'm going to start turning my torso toward my right leg. I'm going to grab my right knee with my elbow. The classic pose has you showing the palm to the world. You can do that, or you can just let it hang. And after I come to this position, I'm just going to look over my right shoulder and hold this for a couple breaths, or longer if you'd like. And I'm going to come back to the center. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to start bending my left leg. I'm going to bend my left leg as well, get it under my buttocks to even deepen the twist. I'm going to do the same thing again. Try to move my elbow over my right knee. Just hold on to my right knee with my elbow and look behind my shoulder. And you would see that you have actually twisted farther with both of your legs bent. Couple breaths here. We're going to come down to the center and do this on the other side. Again, starting with the staff pose. Now I'm going to bend my left leg, put it over my right knee. Start turning my torso to the left, supporting myself with the left hand. Move my elbow on the outer side of my left knee and look behind my left shoulder for a couple of breaths. Before coming back to the center. And now I'm going to deepen the twist by bending my right leg. As you can see, I have trouble with left and right. Put my right heel under my buttocks. And I'm going to do the same twist, supporting myself with my left hand. Turning my torso to the left, looking behind my left shoulder. Keeping my elbow on the outer side of my top knee, which happens to be the left one. Couple of breaths here, or longer if you'd like. And let's come back to the center. All right. That pose is known as Lord of the Fishes. So let's see if we can turn into deers from Lord of the Fishes. So what we're going to do, we're going to make half a swastika from our legs. My left leg is touching the mat with the outer portion of the hip. and outer portion of the thigh. My right leg is touching the mat with the inner part of the leg. So my knees are bent at roughly 90-degree angle. And I'm gonna start turning left as much as I can. Watch the sensations in your back hip. So we're gonna turn into the direction of the leg that has the outer part of the leg touching the mat right now. And we're gonna come to the deer pose. Feel a nice twist in our lower back. Spend a couple of breaths here. Come back to the center and do the deer on the other side. Again, half swastika with our legs here. Now my right leg is touching the mat with its outer part, and my left leg is touching the mat with the inner part. And I'm turning right, supporting myself with my hands, breathing here, feeling a nice stretch in my back hip, just the left hip. Couple of breaths. And I'm gonna come back to the center. And you probably noticed that we worked your bottom spine and your top spine in an earlier pose, but it's time to work our mid spine as well. So for that, we're gonna come to our hands and knees. Make sure that we're well supported here. You want to keep your knees slightly apart. Make sure that we're supported with our hands very well, because we're gonna lift one hand off the mat, turn it palm upwards, and slide it under the other arm, coming back down to the mat. We're gonna look to the side, resting our head on the mat, and just thread the needle pose. And actually, if your shoulders are very stiff, you can spend more time here. And that is because the gravity is going to do the job for you here. It's going to constrict, needs to be constricted to expand further later. Going to stretch what needs to be stretched. Now I'm spending 5 breaths here before coming up and doing it on the other side. Same thing, check your pose for stability. Lift your left hand, turn it palm upwards, and thread the needle under your right arm. You can keep the supporting arm straight or bent, however is easier. We're all different. And we're going to breathe here. Another breath. And we're going to come up to our hands and knees. And come back to the easy pose, to Sukhasana. And those poses, they come from the Hatha and the Yin tradition, the poses that we just did. However, Kundalini tradition has quite a bit to offer in terms of spinal twists, because kundalini, as you know, is supposed to raise up your spine. So spine mobility and spine health is super important for kundalini yoga. So let's try a couple of dynamic spinal twists from the kundalini tradition, which you can also do together with the poses we did or separately. So first off, we're going to sit in sukhasana. Put our palms on our knees, bend our elbows so that they're facing or looking apart. And what we're going to do, we're going to start large circles with our spine. And you know this as a classic kundalini exercise. But what we're going to add, we're going to change the direction of our gaze midway. So when we come to the down position, I'm going to start looking the opposite direction of my movement, like this. I'm going to change it. If my body is moving left, I'm looking right, and vice versa. Changing in the topmost position and in the position that is our lowest point. So here's dynamic spinal twist for you. And it takes a moment to get into the groove. I keep making mistakes of where to look, but once you do get into the groove, it's actually a very soothing exercise. And we're gonna sink down here for a second, take a breath, and change the direction of our rotation. If you were going left, start going right. And keep looking the opposite way, changing the direction of your gaze midway. And again, it's gonna take you a moment to get into the groove, especially if you're direction challenged like me. But in the end, it's gonna become a nice, soothing motion. We're not gonna stop abruptly, as with every kundalini rotational exercise. We're just gonna stop turning our head and start making our circles smaller before we come to a complete stop in the middle. Take a breath here. And we're gonna hug ourselves like this. We're gonna start rotational movement again to work our mid spine. Your head will go into the direction of your turn first. Turn however much is comfortable. Don't try to look behind your shoulder just yet. Feel your sitting bones dancing on the mat as you turn. And now we can start adding a look behind our shoulder, like a deliberate look. We've given ourselves a chance to get into the groove of the twist. And now we can deepen it by looking behind our shoulders as we turn. And we're gonna give it another several seconds. And slowly start making our movements smaller until we are completely stationary in the middle. Let your arms drop, shake your wrists. Take a breath in. And now we're going to work the top portion of our spine. Going to put our hands on our shoulders, however is easier for you. Some people prefer their fingers in the front. Some people prefer their thumbs in the front. Does not really matter. And we're going to make our elbows point sideways. And we're going to start turning, keeping our elbows as much up as we can, not letting them drop. We're gonna get into the groove here. And then we're gonna lift them even higher. If you need to change the position of your hands on your shoulders now, do it. We're just gonna lift, 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 lift. Keep them lifted to even deepen the twist. You can start looking behind your shoulder as you turn. You don't have to. A couple more seconds like that. And again, we're going to let our arms drop. Take a breath in. If you want to work specifically on your neck mobility, Kundalini Yoga has the loveliest exercise for you. We're going to close our eyes, open our mouth ever so slightly. Make sure that your lower jaw is relaxed and hanging down. We're going to start making large circles with our head. Make the circles as large as your neck comfortably allows, keeping your eyes closed and your mouth slightly open. Watch your hand. The moment you start getting dizzy, which you probably will, just change the direction of the rotation, go the other way. And once you feel like you're done with this exercise, do not stop abruptly. Just start making your circles smaller until you are motionless in the center with your head hung low. Take a breath here. Wait for any dizziness, if any, to go away. And we're gonna do one dynamic full body stretch that also features spinal twists. I love this one. I hope you do too. So I'm going to stand on my mat with my feet slightly wider than shoulder width apart. I just want the most stable position I can muster because what I'm going to do, I'm going to start turning from side to side, just ever so slightly. And then I'm going to imagine that I'm wearing one of those puffy skirts from the 19th century, and I'm holding it with my hands. So I'm going to put my hands like this and try to keep them stable in this position for a couple more whirls. And then I'm going to start imagining that my skirt is growing, that it's reaching my waist, starting to lift my arms. My skirt's reaching my chest, the level of my shoulders, the level of my neck and chin, my temples, and it grows, keeps on growing until it swallows me completely. And my arms are straight up. I'm gonna keep turning here. And then I'm gonna start letting the skirt slowly become smaller, less puffy. My hands are going to be on the level of my temples now, the level of my ears. The skirt's gonna go down to my chin, my neck, my shoulders, my chest, my waist, and further down until we're in the initial position. Now I'm gonna stop turning here, but I'm gonna let my arms drop. I'm going to let them hit me wherever they happen to hit me. I'm gonna close my eyes if they're not closed already. I'm going to listen to the sensation in the tips of my fingers, feeling the heaviness leaving them, feeling the tension leaving my forearms and my shoulders. And I'm going to spend as much time here as I want. But when I do want to stop, I'm going to start making my movements smaller until I'm stationary in the center with my arms relaxed, and scan my body very quickly from the tips of my toes to my ankles, to my lower legs, to my knees, to my hips. I'm going to direct the focus of my attention into my buttocks, to my lower belly, into the area of my solar plexus, into my mid back, into the center of my chest. I'm going to direct the focus of my attention into my shoulders, and into my upper arms and my elbows, and my lower arms and my wrists, and my palms, my fingers, and then have all of that attention rush back into the center of my chest, only to direct it into my neck, into my face, the back of my head, And finally into the center of my head, where my mind is. I'm gonna see what I can see there in my mind. Maybe there is a thought there, maybe an emotion or a stuck impression, a memory. I wouldn't worry about any of that because I'm gonna notice that if I'm the one who's noticing, I cannot be any of my thoughts, any of my emotions. I'm the one to who they occur. And I'm gonna take that impression with me as we conclude our practice. I'm gonna say namaste and thank you for doing this practice with me. Until next time.